Hi. Welcome to the Ba.Bl podcast. I am in a very messy room. The only reason you can tell it's messy is because my my drapes there fell down, so it's hard to get them back up. Anyway, I'm eating things I shouldn't be eating. This is beans from a fast food place. Can't mention. I put cheese and cilantro. So it's not that it's unhealthy, but I just had a workout and I really wanted some protein. Some of you may know I don't eat meat. Oh my God, did you hear any of that? Let's start over. Welcome to the Ba.Bl podcast. This is Xochitl, your host. I'm in a very messy room. The only reason you can tell is because my drapes fell down over there. So those of you who are listening to the audio podcast on Podbean, you can't see that, but I'm also eating something I shouldn't be eating. These are beans from a fast food restaurant I can't mention. Why? Why am I eating beans from a fast food restaurant? So if you're watching the podcast, this show, I am a Zumba instructor. This is my Zumba sweatshirt. I just got out of Zumba class. That's why I look a mess. And I wanted to eat some protein. But those of you who know me, who've been watching, listening, I don't eat meats. I stopped eating red meat because there's heart problems in my family. I stopped eating chicken because I don't like to cook it. Sometimes I eat fish, but I'd rather not. So yeah, I picked up some beans, and the only reason I shouldn't pick up beans is for the normal, most common, obvious reasons why Mexicans shouldn't be eating beans. So, but we do. It's part of our cuisine. Anyways, totally off topic, has nothing to do with dancing except that I just got out of Zumba class and I'm exhausted. So I just got a job at a dance studio. It's called, I think I can mention it because it's on my website. It's called The Movement Studio, MUV Movement Studio in Fair Oaks here in Sacramento. And I'm only there once or twice a week. It's not a lot, but it's my first Zumba job. My first real paying dance job. I think I was part of a Ba.Bl group, which offered me a lot of free stuff, but I wasn't actually paid to be part of it. So this is pretty fun and exciting for me. I had to put on an hour show. I only prepared about 40 minutes, and they told me that I was going to have a full hour with the students. And so I quickly put together another 15 minutes, just 5 minutes for introduction and bathroom breaks, whatever. I put together 15 minutes of routines, and I think their first class, they couldn't tell, but now it's getting easier for them. They're like, okay, come on, let's do something else. So I am coming up with new choreography. I just didn't introduce it today, which I should have, but my mom joined the class today, so I didn't want it to be too hard for her. I kept some of the easy stuff. And apparently in my hour Zumba class, they are getting 900 to over 1,000 steps in. I do a lot of footwork. So Zumba, if you don't know anything about it, you can lose up to 500 calories in an hour. That's a heck of a lot of calories. But anyways, if you want to take a class with me there, you can also join virtually. I'm with the studio. Go on my website or on Instagram to find out more information how to contact that studio. Or just go to zumba.com on my instructors page. But here's the update on the Ba.Bl, the real Ba.Bl Blitz. Very sad, upsetting news. at the same time, very, very good news. So which do you want to hear first? Most people say, give me bad news. So that's what I'm going to do. I wouldn't consider it a breakup, really. But Wesley and I have sort of, as far as ballroom dancing goes, parted ways. And I'm not crying. These beans are really hot. I'm not crying because we're still in contact. The show is not over. It doesn't mean that I'm done with ballroom. That is it. I quit. I didn't quit. I think a lot of people at the studio think that I just quit, and it's not the case. So they have reasons to think that. Here's the other bad news. I went to my live event. If you listened to the previous podcast where I was complaining a lot, I was really stressed that month. I had like 3 or 4 competitions in 1 month in the course of 2.5 weeks, and I couldn't handle it. I literally broke myself, and I was in the virtual competitions. I couldn't hack it. In the live competition was the last one, and I literally broke on stage. I couldn't move. Something happened. Something just went dead and blank in my body, just around the part of the dance that I knew best, that I have been doing for about 4 months. I know it by heart. I could do it right now. But for some reason in that moment, it just all got messed up. Fucked up, I should say. Excuse my language for those children out there, but it was bad. And I couldn't recover. I was trying so hard. It's like this. Look at I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. My legs weren't working. My arms weren't working. These are always excuses. Like my last live competition, I couldn't breathe because of my mask. But I felt like my body was moving. I was doing all the right steps. It just, my technique suffered because I couldn't breathe. Well, in this live event, it was like a solo. Me and Wes did shines side by side, and I messed it up so bad. But here's how great the competition is at Arthur Murray. I do talk a lot of shit on this show, but that's part of the real ballroom bliss. Not everything is all roses and what's the saying? Puppy dogs? I don't know. But anyway, so they gave me 92 points out of 100. I think it's because I messed up the part I knew best, but all of the tricks, the spot turn, the pot turn, the lifts, the end, we did a great big ending. Excuse me a minute. An ending with sort of a lift trick thing, and I don't know what to call it. But so we did really well, and the trick was so bad. It didn't look like salsa. It didn't look like mambo. I don't know. I paid for the video. Before the show, you get to pay if you want it on video. We were so prepared that I was like, yeah, I'll take a video. Professional video, sure, this will help the show, whatever. International competition. There were people from all over the place, Canada, Asia, everywhere, for Arthur Murray. Within the Arthur Murray Club, a private memberships, etc. But I've been in world competitions where literally anybody from anywhere, any school could go. And I wasn't, just that I felt because of my whatever happens inside of myself went kind of wacky, but I was prepared for that. I'm always prepared for that because I deal with that a lot. That's not what happened in this competition, and that world competition, it was just like my body wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. But so I was like pushing to make myself move the way it's supposed to. In this live event, I felt a numbness, a blank, like I don't know how my legs are moving. I can't do anything. I wasn't nervous. It just, as soon as I got there, it was in, I guess it was in Reno. So on the way to Reno, it's a lot of windy roads in the mountains. And all I can say is that maybe I was just a little bit dizzy. So that's the only thing I can tell that was different. I couldn't have been that much more nervous in the world competition. It's Arthur Murray. I know all of these people. I see them from time to time from different studios, different judges, different students. We know each other. It's a private club, right? We've all heard about each other. We've seen each other in virtual competitions for the last year. And so to me, it was like being amongst friends in the world competition. I like cared a little bit more. But the expense, what's wrong with me? So this is a long explanation. But the virtual competitions, I did win first place. And when I watched the virtual competition, I watched the whole day thing for the Emerald Ball. You could probably check it out somewhere in Texas. And I watched it. And I was supposedly, there were two other dance couples that I was dancing in the videos at the same time in the same category. But the paper shows that I was the only person in that category. So what the form shows, like if I show it to any other school or any other place that wants to know my certification or the past, it shows that I won because I was the only person. But that's yes and no. Just because you're the only person, you can still get third place depending on how many points they want to give you. That's the facts. And I'm sorry, it's shaky on my bed. So I got first place. That's actually, it's okay. But from what I understand, I was up against two other couples, and I don't know what happened to them on the form. So in the smooth category, I got second place because I was in the form shows one other couple. On the video, it showed their couples. And I'm like, what happened to the other couples? Were they disqualified? I mean, I don't understand. So that's weird. But first and second place for a virtual competition that is out of state, me and Wesley, the first time we ever competed outside of Arthur Murray. And he says that he doesn't have any interest in doing that. And I started not having any interest in doing Arthur Murray competitions because they're private club. It's all fine and dandy. It looks grand on the commercials you see on YouTube because it is. That's the way it looks because that's the way it is. That's the way it feels. It's that nice and it's that crazy and it's that fun. But my competitive nature sort of gives up when the competition isn't as great. At the same time, if it's too great, then I'm like, holy crap, am I good enough? So that's why it's so important to, when you're competing, to enter in the right categories for yourself, because it's possible to enter a higher category at a higher level and a lower level. It's possible. You can do either or. You could do a lower level with better technique. You do a higher level, and that's the risk you'll take. But you just have to know your own skill level, basically. Otherwise, you'll be sadly disappointed. Those beans were freaking hot. Woo! Okay. So, what else? So, what do I have against Arthur Murray? Maybe your question. The answer is I don't have anything against Arthur Murray. I think they've trained me to get to a certain place in my performance skills and my want and desire to make my dreams come true in this industry. Not just dance, but entertainment in general. So I used it a lot as training. I was telling everybody for like 2 years, I know it's expensive, but I don't think you understand how much schooling you get, regardless of whether or not you're advancing levels. You just get a lot of training. It depends on how you look at it, what it is that you're trying to learn. And I was taking in everything that I possibly information and training for this business. I don't understand why everybody doesn't put their kids in it and explain these things to them. So it's an expensive school, but if you think about college, people go to college for dance and get about to the intermediate level of ballroom in college. Whether or not they get their degree for that, that's still a possibility. And it can cost you over $100,000. So I did it for a third of the price over the course of 2 years. And there was a lot of argument and stress on me about how much it was costing, because literally all of my paychecks, all my unemployment through quarantine went to the Arthur Murray Studios. And they're like, what's the point? What are you getting out of it? Yada, yada. So that weird feeling that people get, like I have to prove myself or I have to explain myself. I'm doing this for me. I know what I'm doing for myself. I know what I want. And I know when it's good for me, and I know when it is no longer. So can we just relax on the hate and the arguing and the dissay of different things about my lifestyle and how I spend my money. It's so annoying. First of all, it's none of your business. But anyways, so I'm doing really well. I just want to tell you, I got my first dance job. I am a Zumba instructor, but now, big surprise, I'm in teacher training, and I could have been in teacher training the whole time and only been using them to help me with my teacher training. Teacher training is only $275 a month if you're paying for it and you don't have a job who pays you to train, which Arthur Murray does. Arthur Murray wouldn't hire me, so I'm paying for the training. Listen, if there's something you want to do, you got to go for it. You can't just let people tell you that you can't do it. Find a way to do it and get it done. So I'm in this teacher training, which I heard about before Arthur Murray. They had been calling me since the first day I started at Arthur Murray. This teacher training studio has been calling me and leaving me texts for 2 years. Well, I just felt like teacher training was also, I know what cha-cha is, I know the basics of everything, but picking up on a new style of dance. I've been out of training for, I think it was like 10 years, and all I was doing was coming up with my own choreography in my house, and that's it, just dancing by myself. It's not the same as learning new routines, learning styles, learning technique. So I wanted to be really prepared to be able to pick up quickly so that when I do teacher training, I don't have to do it 2 or 3 times over. Like once I'm through with the classes, I take the national exam and I can pass. That's what I was looking for. So that's what I used Arthur Murray for, and it's taught me a lot about technique. I was in the classes 6 days a week. I learned how to pick up quickly. I understand the lingo. All of that stuff added to my training. Whereas I think if I started in teacher training right away, just from the get-go, it would have taken me a while to really understand what's going on in that book. They explain it to you really well. And it does make sense. It would have made sense to me, but I think that it just, they teach beginner to intermediate salsa in a month and a half. And although I knew all those steps as a follower, I was not as good of a leader, I think, as I am now. Back then, I just didn't, I don't know. That's just my own opinion and what I thought about myself. I probably would have picked it up really fast, but at the same time, I didn't want to have to take the course over again. You know what I mean? Whereas in Arthur Murray, once you pass and you move forward. And they teach you about showmanship, performance, management. You learn a lot from being the student of the manager, and then to taking lessons with the coach on a regular basis. You learn a lot more about technique. It's just a lot. It's a lot that they give you. You're stupid not to take advantage of that. But I don't have anything against Arthur Murray. I was mad and pissy. I was being a mad brat that they weren't hiring me. And what I understand is that the people they hired before me had some teacher training or whatever the case is. And but that is the update on my ballroom. I won one. I made top 100, but I didn't make top 50. Top 50 gets the prize, and I didn't make it there. It sucks. I do this all the time as far as my singing goes. I will sing for 5 hours because I just don't think it sounds right. And then when my voice is totally tired, I get sick of the videos the next day. And the first ones were obviously better because I was more rested. But I tend to do that knowing that I do that, and I do it anyways. And I think it's going to be fine. And it never is. And so I did it this time and I lost. However, I got some feedback. They loved my lyrics. They said my lyrics were incredible. The emotion that was evoked and the statement was powerful, yada yada. Yada yada. Anybody remember Seinfeld? But anyway, so that's incredible news because the Ba.Bl, or the stars of the Ba.Bl, me and Wesley, was YouTube channel, but we were also talking. So I've been writing a lot. I wrote a script. We're looking at theaters. Exciting! We're looking at venues, trying to budget the whole thing, coming up with a business plan for this. We're looking for sponsors. If you'd like to sponsor the Ba.Bl and the upcoming show, we'd be more than happy to send you a letter with the business plan and proper tax forms and everything. If you're really interested, give us a call, especially if you're part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. That's who we are hitting up. It's our plan. It's our plan. Okay. We're really taking this seriously. And the thing about it is, when I talked about earlier that Wesley and I broke up, I did quit Arthur Murray. I didn't quit Arthur Murray. It's just that because we're doing this theater show and I'm learning about managing a business. I plan the business plan. It's going to start out as dance fitness, but it's going to expand. He is not part of that. He's all Arthur Murray. That's his thing. But we might feature him in a master class or something. And the other goal, and those are the things that I'm spending my money on, that I'm saving money more, that I'm spending my money on, that I need sponsorship for, and would like to be part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce once it opens up. Right now, the Ba.Bl is not really a business. I don't know if you were wondering about that. I paid Wesley through Arthur Murray, but he is not an employee of this thing. Everything that he did for us was either through Arthur Murray or just free out of friendship. And I'm very grateful to Wesley. He's dear to my heart, and my family loves him. And I hope to know him for the rest of my life. As far as the theater show, it is written, say, the dynamics between the two of us, and us for a big show in September. Now that they're having live shows, they're gonna really do it big. And so I'm just this one student. I can't offer him $1 million, and I don't want to take him away from his career. Arthur Murray's going to be part of his life for as long as possible, as long as he wants it to be. I would never try to take him away from any part of his dream. And I know he really wants to be like a judge and have his own studio. So, but he also has a dream of being a star. And I'm really headed in a different direction. He is in a pilot episode for a show that is trying to get onto Netflix. But if he becomes an actor, I don't know. He's just gonna be famous. And my theater show, if it's big enough, we may or may not be able to have it. But so we're just going in two different directions. It doesn't mean it's a breakup, really. It just means that the competitions had to take in the back burner for a little while. I just have to hold off because I can't afford the competitions. Are going to cost me as much as my show. And I really had a hard time making that decision, but I really want to do this show. I'm going to make it happen in the next couple of months. Hopefully, Wesley changes his mind, or he's not as stressed in a couple of months when we do start rehearsal, and he might be able to get back into it. But if he says no because it's too stressful. And if you watch the Ba.Bl episode about Wesley and dealing with depression, you will know that he attempted to commit suicide at one point in time. A little over a year ago, and losing a student that was at one point taking 3 to 4 lessons a week is probably a big deal for him. At the same time, it's less stressful at work. He doesn't have to worry about choreographing for me. He doesn't have to worry about adding me in a show or being in any competitions with me. And although that's helpful for his management position, it's a lot of stress. So if it's too much for him to be part of theater show and co-star with me, then I just have to get somebody to fill in his place. However, I will say he's welcome to join in at any time. Choreograph something new for us, add a skit in for himself, or I could write something for him. And it's, he's always my first choice. Imagined him in certain parts, but we learned his goals as an actor. So my character's a little bit wild and crazy, and I don't know. He wants to play more serious, more, what do you say, gay men who are, real, not like written like overly crazy, and what he wants to play like a normal character in a normal show or whatever normal means. He's not. I just, sometimes I'm like, Wesley, do you know you're not really like everybody else? It's just you by yourself. You're not like everybody else. But he has his goals, he has his dreams, and you can't change that for people. You just got to do what you have to do and hope that it works out for everybody. That's the show for today, guys. I'll have another one. I was going to post something about what was the next show going to be about. I don't make notes. This is totally off the top of my head improv. I didn't have any of this written down. I just wanted to give you the updates on the show. But previously I had a plan for a show about dance confidence and how that ties into performance and competition, and how to sort of nurture that. But when I lost the competition, I was like, how can I have this podcast in after this big loss in a live event? How can I have people take me seriously? I was going through a depressed moment. I didn't think that anybody would want to hear what I had to say, or that they would that they would think like, who is she to tell us about issues with performing in front of people? I'm such a ham. Sometimes I'm really quiet though and kind of introverted, but when you say put a show on, I'm pretty peppy, I guess. And I don't know. I don't have a problem with confidence. I just I'm trying to figure out what I think that stress level has a lot to do with what happened in my competitions. But that's what the next show is going to be about. I do still have plans in the future to talk to somebody about sport. People I can speak to about these topics. So I'm not just talking about dance sport anymore. I'm talking about sports in general, but dance sport being the reason I believe more women should try to coach sports in general. We're going to go over some of that in the future. There's a lot to talk about, guys. So this is going to be on YouTube, but I am going to put it on the podcast over the weekend. Next week, in the first week of June, for the podcast audio version. And I hope that you guys will see us later. Subscribe to the show. We are continuing to take video for new holiday shows for you. We plan on doing them when summer's over, but most of our video things are like a holiday sort of excursion. You can spend the holidays with us on YouTube and watch dance videos. That's what we do here, but that doesn't happen until next year. Until then, you can see what happened to us last year. And I will